Elijah and I have to share a mic this week, so the audio is going to be extremely poor, which I'm, whatever. I'm indifferent about, because Elijah's not the one that has to edit. But it's okay. I'm not sour.
He's a bit sour.
I'm not salty. I'm fine.
A bit salty.
I just, shove all my problems.
So this week with
down
us,
the hatch.
we have
Hey! I wasn't done talking. No. So this week on our podcast, Elijah, if you'd like to say.
This week on our podcast.
Oh my God, you are so ridiculous. We have none other than my sister Stephanie with us.
Yay! Hi guys. I'm so pumped to be on a podcast. I feel like a legit celebrity.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
So yeah, today I just kind of wanted to talk to you because we personally haven't talked about this, but I'm curious to pick your brain about your whole traveling experiences. I know at your house you have this wall with like your map and stuff, and you pinned where all the places you've been, pretty much all the continents, all the states,
yeah.
countries.
No. Continents and states and countries, all of it, yeah.
Yeah, so, I just want to talk about that. But real quick, I wanted to ask you, it's a dumb question, but what was the most annoying quality about me as your brother growing up as kids?
Oh, man. So let's see, a little background about me. I'm the oldest of us three. We actually have an older sister who is our half-sister, but she is as much or more loved by all three of us. And so, but with me being the oldest of us three, Devin is the youngest. And so I always thought that with him being the youngest, I was like, ugh, he's the baby, he's the favorite, he could do no wrong. But no, he was the most effed up one of all of us.
Yeah. And
yet everybody, like both my mom and dad, were like, whatever. And by the time, with the fourth kid, they're like, yeah, whatever, just like get out of the house, And so
True that, bro.
I thought that he was the most obnoxious and that he got away with everything. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? But now what annoys me the most about him is
had to bring it to the present. She just needed to give it a couple like low blows.
Exactly. Yep. To the
over
present
my
day.
Own show.
Devin has this thing, and I think it's just from him being an introvert in that he reaches in a week, his essential quota for socialization. And by the time he reaches that, if I have a question or want to make a decision or want to make plans after he's reached that quota, he literally tells me, I don't feel like making decisions right now.
I can second this.
And it drives me effing nuts. It drives me nuts. Because I'm like, okay, that's nice that you like want to, take your time off and, be you and all that. But like, we have to make a decision now, like what food do you want to eat? Or like, hey, we're going to be, doing XYZ Christmas plans or like this kind of summer plans. And we need to start planning now. Like, but sometimes he just doesn't want to make decisions. And I like to plan and I like to, make everything nice and organized. And sometimes he just doesn't want to work with me and it drives me insane.
I do too. I mean, you look at my house, it's always usually clean especially when I was living on my own. Not with Elijah. No, just kidding.
I am the dirty one out of the two. But in my defense, I have no defense. So deal with it.
It's cool. But I just know that like, it's like as if Steph is asking me after, super long week or like I try and like make a boundary where I'm like, if I have a super long day by 8-9 o'clock, I don't want to make any decisions because I will forget about it.
And here's the thing about me is by 8-9 o'clock, that's when I come alive. So I'm a teacher and I get up hella early, which I am not good about getting up early. But I do it. I go through my whole job teaching and then like I get done with the day around 3:30, and so then I want to like take a nap or just like chill for a few hours.
Do you nap a lot?
It depends. I mean, with the teaching through COVID, I napped all the time. It was great. But in real life,
I'm not a napper. I never nap.
Oh, I can nap anywhere, anytime.
Take a power nap for 8 hours. Wake up ready for the day.
I love napping.
6 to 8 hour quote unquote power nap over here.
Gross. No,
it's like
I need 7 hours of sleep. Period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I nap, and I can do 20-minute naps and like feel refreshed, but yeah. So then, but then like around 8 or 9, that's when I'm like alive, and I'm like, okay, let's conquer the world, which is also bad because
Right.
I gotta go to bed early in order to get up early. But yeah, 8 or 9 o'clock is when I'm like, yes, let's do all the things. And then I
Mhm.
call Devin, and he's like, no, I don't feel like it. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't feel like it? I want to do all the things right now. Like, no.
Also, Devin usually is like ready for bed by 10:30. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to get up at 6:30 every morning, and I've tried to function off 6 hours, which is possible, but by the end of the week, I'm completely useless. Friday night, I'm like, good luck trying to get me out of the house. No way. 7 hours, I'm still like tired. I can function just fine, but I'm still just ridiculous out of my mind. It's like if I get consistently 8 hours every night, at least 7.5 to 8 hours, then by the weekend, I'm like, let's party. But I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
I mean, it's for me, it's Monday morning. I'll go to sleep Sunday night completely brain dead, not thinking about a single thing, and then Monday morning have my morning coffee, and I'm like, okay, I have this to do, and I will just knock it all out in one day. Mondays
Good
are
for
like
you.
my strong days.
No, Tuesdays are my strong days. Like Monday, it's like just survive. And then sleep a normal, good human amount. And then Tuesday, I thrive. But Mondays survive, Tuesdays thrive. So it works
see,
out.
I don't know about you guys, but like I function off about 5-6 hours of sleep a night,
Oh, I'd be dead.
and like that's it.
Ugh.
And it's
Can't
like
do it.
all the week,
Can't
and
do
then
it.
maybe one day I'll just actually sleep 8 to 10 hours.
Ugh. Gross.
Yeah. Mm.
You live
Yeah.
a sad life with not enough sleep. That's unfortunate.
You're not wrong.
Got him. Got him.
It's not even like sometimes I'll go to sleep early and then just wake up at 5 a.m. because I went to sleep early. I'm like, oh, and early to me is like midnight. So like,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
go to sleep early at midnight, wake up at 5:30. I'm like, wow, this sucks.
Heck, last
Yeah.
night I was like, oh, like, Wayne's coming over, Elijah's here, like we're all just
Wayner
like,
Cocainer.
we're all thumbing, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna stay up so late. 12:30, I was like, I'm just ready for bed.
Yep.
I didn't have work. I got to sleep in, and I was like, I'm just done. Can't do it no more. But yeah. So I want to ask you this too. What was your favorite memory of us when we were kids?
So define kids, like what age gap are you talking about?
Maybe like before middle school. It's when the innocence was still there.
All those times I don't really remember you a ton. Just I mean, you existed, but like it was mostly me and Dalton, and we were tight. And
Okay.
I mean, you were just like a little punk kid, like
You're the loser little brother trying to hang out with the older kids.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember specific memories like that. So
Yep.
okay, well then, to rephrase my question,
Mhm.
what was your favorite memory with Dalton and you then, which is our brother?
Here's the honest truth. I was such a jerk to Dalton when I was younger. I don't know why, but I was. But there were times where we were just like tight. Like we would play. Oh, you know what's my favorite of us three when you were old enough? Us three, okay? We would play on the trampoline
All day.
like there was no tomorrow.
Mhm.
And literally we would play like all the games. I think our favorite one was Blowing Away.
Yeah, I was
Do
literally
you
gonna
remember
mention
that
that.
one?
Yeah, it's such a stupid.
'Kay.
Like it was like windy outside, and we'd be like, "Oh my gosh, guys, it's windy. Let's go outside
blowing
and play blowing
away."
away." And like
Oh.
we'd be on one side of the trampoline, depending on where the wind was going, and we'd like pretend to be like holding on.
Yeah, it was
No,
so
I'm blowing away.
fun.
And then we'd like jump ourselves back. And we'd be like, "No!"
It was so fun. Or this is
Dumb,
what we
bro.
would do. So we lived on like, I think, 16 acres of land when we were younger, just outside of Durango. And there was like the cattails, right? So that was like no man's land.
Mm.
But then there was like a bunch of bushes over here on the other side, and that was like the jungle.
Res
Okay.
life, bro.
Yeah. Okay. It was
Res life.
it was crazy. So we would be like, all right, we're going on an adventure. And that's what we'd call it, an adventure.
Mhm.
And we'd like pack our backpacks full of chips and a blanket. And we'd be like, oh, we're going to go for days, like on this adventure. And what we do is we'd like walk just past the weeds and be like, all right, let's set up our picnic. And then we'd lay out the blanket. All three of us would sit. We'd eat our chips and be like, damn, that was a good adventure. And then walk back.
The adventures was lit, bro. Just walk off,
It was crazy.
eat some chips out of a bag, and call it good.
Dude,
I remember
So many adventures.
I remember Dalton and I. Remember Bionicles?
Oh, Bionicle. Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
But we I used to collect these Bionicles, and there was so many different series, and like if anyone is listening and understands, like they know. But they came in those little plastic,
Both of them were obsessed.
plastic tube or whatever, so to speak. And I remember one time we took one of them and we put them outside the house, like on the side of the house, where it was seriously infested with gnarly spiders.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
Dalton and I would go outside and piss in that thing, and then when it was
Ew.
full, we would rock paper scissors. We would have to pick it up and smell it.
Ew. I never knew that. That's nasty boy things.
Yeah,
Ew.
you weren't cool enough.
Well, it's because I wasn't boy enough, that's for sure. Dalton is, to clarify, I don't know if we did, but Dalton is right in between Devin and I. So we're all about 1.5 years, 2 years apart.
Right.
And so Dalton is right in between. And that makes sense that you two nasties would do something gross like that. Or let's talk about how
Best
you guys
childhood
are
ever.
sick and how you guys would both torture all of the animals that we owned. Like both of you, separately and together.
I just have to state for the record, my first podcast I talk about breakup stories, and now I'm talking about torturing animals, things that I've done when I was a kid.
But Devin is
I'm
a quality
really
dude.
Not making myself out to look like a good person,
No.
but I don't care.
Yeah.
'Cause
No. We all
it
have
doesn't
dark
matter.
pasts, okay? Just know that Devin fought through the dark ways
Shoot.
of child and
Fought.
adolescence. And you know what? He's come out a better man.
Fought
or he
through by
might
torturing
he
animals.
might be, or he just might be someone who messes
it.
with animals. Who knows?
I lock my door every night before I go to sleep, just in case.
Okay, and what I'm talking about, and not that he's like strangling animals,
Doesn't
but
matter.
but
Cops can't get me
like,
now.
but I'm talking about like when when this woman who was living with us back in the day, she had a bird. What was he? A little canary? I think a
It
little
was
yellow
a
canary.
yellow canary.
Yep, his
That thing
name
was
was
so cute.
his name was TB, short for Terry Bradshaw, because she was a football fan.
I don't know. And
Who
the
does
bird was
Terry
black
Bradshaw
and
play
yellow.
for? I don't remember.
To be honest, I think it was color of a team, and then obviously the bird was black and yellow.
Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Anyways, but yeah, and so they love this bird to Devin's default. Like, he absolutely adored and loved this bird. So did Dalton. But the
Couldn't touch
rule
it.
was the bird lived in the cage, and she fed him, not us. And yet the boys, which is what I refer to as Dalton and Devin, the boys, they would take the bird out of the cage and play with him. That's dangerous. And that poor bird was probably scarred for life that he left the cage and was in Devin and Dalton's hands.
If you
Terrible.
go in the deep archives of my Facebook, you will find a picture of that bird. Very cute bird. You and I talked about this. There's such a thing called cute aggression.
Cuteness aggression, yes.
Yeah, cute.
It's
So-
a real thing. Where you just look at an animal and you're like, oh my God, they're so cute. I want to squeeze them. Ah.
And you actually
That's cuteness aggression.
want to squeeze, physically squeeze them.
Yes.
I guess it activates the same part of your brain as anger or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Or you just want to hurt them. They're so cute. Yeah, no, I do that all the time with dogs. I'm like, oh. And actually,
Same.
I currently have a roommate that has a cat, and she's so cute. The cat is just adorable. But she's
Kinda
a
mean.
cat because
Ugh.
here's the defining factor of cats is that they just want to be loved on their terms.
Yep.
Not mine. And I'm
Relatable content.
not okay with that. I want to love them all the time. And so it's really hard. And so I just see her and I'm like, I know you don't want to be loved, but ooh, I want to squeeze you. And also because you don't want to be loved, I want to hurt you. So I just want to squeeze you so bad. You know?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
It's a real thing.
I was that way with our dad's dog, Dodge.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the dog would
He
sleep
was a
in my
mini
bed.
Doberman Pinscher.
Yeah,
He's so cute.
he had a clipped tail, so it was just like a.
Little
It was
nub.
literally as long as my thumb,
A
and
little
it would just wag back and forth, and its butt would
so
move at the same time. This dog, you looked him in the eyes, and it kind of reminds me of Josh Brotherton's dog, actually, a little bit. Just so cute that I just just want to pick it up and just shake it as hard as you can.
Shaken baby syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
it's
just
so
about to
funny.
say that chicken baby syndrome, but with dogs. So
Yep. But that's cuteness aggression. It's not that you actually want to hurt the dog.
Sure,
They're
sure.
just so cute that you're like, oh, I want to squeeze you to death
True that.
out of love.
And it was out of love. It really was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, real quick, now you have been an advocate. I guess not an advocate, but like you've loved traveling around.
And
Like-
I'm an advocate of it. Yeah, definitely. I highly suggest that everybody in the whole world see a different part of the world. It is life-changing
Mm.
and wonderful.
I read a statistic a long time ago that say 90% of Americans haven't left this country.
I believe that full well.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, I get because it's expensive, but also, man, like the experience is so enriching that I'm like, why wouldn't you, man?
I think too, though, culturally, to travel and to experience new cultures is not ingrained within our culture. Whereas, like
True.
Europe, they're, you know, a union, and that's more part of who they are, is to
Yeah.
see everything that Europe has to offer. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you drive 3 hours south and you can, you know, visit 4 countries
Yeah. True.
in just 3 hours.
True. Like
But,
you've done before.
Yeah, true. But what's it called? I just have to share this because it's so funny. One time, my buddy from Denmark, which, you know, if you're listening, you know who you are. But my buddy from Denmark was like, we were doing church history at Hillsong. And so, mind you, they're talking about the church, but they're also talking about history, like historical facts. And they shared, like, you know, the Europeans traveled a lot. They did this, and, you know, they had this thing inside of them to go out and look, you know, search and find. And so they're like, oh, yeah, you know, the Europeans came to America, and then they met the native people and blah, 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 blah. And then my buddy leans over to me, just try to stab me. And he was like, yeah, what did he say? What was it? It was like, yeah, you wouldn't have America if it weren't for me. And then I was
oh my god.
oh, like, okay, like he got me. That's fair. And then very quickly I turned around and I was like, well, you know, if Europe didn't suck so bad, you wouldn't feel like you had to leave.
So true.
Oh man,
That's
roasted
funny.
him. It was funny. But where would you say your passion for traveling came from?
Gosh, I don't know. The first time I left the U.S. was in 2011, so that's 9 years ago at this point.
Where'd you go?
I went to Sydney, Australia with my friend
Woo woo.
Aubrey. Aubrey, shout out, hey. But yeah, no, her and I went to Aubrey. No, Aubrey and I, Aubrey and I went to Sydney, Australia, and it was because Aubrey definitely had found a passion for traveling, and she was like, hey, Steph, want to go? And I was like, oh, I'm nervous, but yeah, let's do it. And so she had connections with people in Australia, and I was like, all right, let's do it. And so we went, and I was definitely super nervous and out of my comfort zone, but man, like seeing a different culture, like there's so much beauty in this world, and it was really cool to learn a different culture and to kind of be relaxed and be like, okay, they do things differently than I do, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that the way that I do things is correct or the only right way. You know
True.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it totally got me out of my own perspective and like point of view. And so from then I was like, I need to see everywhere else. Like I just want to experience everywhere. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And in college, I studied Spanish because it is a sexy language. Okay. Rolling the R's. Dang. Okay.
I always
It's a
thought
good
German
one.
was more sexy language, but
Really? German? That's
9.
No. Have you seen the YouTube videos where they're like comparing German, Italian, French, Spanish?
Yeah.
And German always comes out very aggressive, which
it's like
is
they'll say
terrifying.
butterfly, and it's like the longest word first of all, and they just say it so aggressively.
so aggressively.
It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. So check out that YouTube video. But yeah, no, so I loved Spanish. I studied it all through middle school, high school, and college. And so then I was like, why don't I go to a Spanish speaking country? So then I studied abroad in Spain, and that was 2014.
how long were you out?
I
in
was there
Spain?
for 6 weeks this summer, and it was absolutely life-changing. One, it was total language immersion, except for the people that I went with, not all of them were Spanish proficient, so it wasn't like 100% language immersion because I was with a whole bunch of English speakers. but it was so fun. Like, and Spain is a beautiful, beautiful country. Like, beautiful place, beautiful people. Right now we're currently hearing some bass from downstairs.
My neighbors downstairs, they really get turned on like Thursdays and
Turned
Friday
down
nights.
for what, you know?
So, yeah, I'm vibrating.
Yep, we all
and,
are.
You know, it's cool.
It's weird. Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah, no. So Spain is probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, and also I spent the longest amount of time there, so I feel like I can like for sure say that it was beautiful.
Do you still know how to speak Spanish? Or?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't been on top of it as much as I can, but I'm doing Duolingo, which shout out to Duolingo. It's a free app that's wonderful for learning languages. And I don't mean to sound like a commercial.
Not a sponsor.
I'm pretty sure we're getting paid for that. So.
Yeah. But Duolingo's amazing. I've been learning French, which I absolutely knew none of. And I know quite a bit now, you know, and so, oh, amazing. But anyway, so I'm keeping up with Spanish through there, and then also like trying to listen to Spanish music and like watch movies or TV in Spanish, which helps me practice and refine my Spanish. And this past summer, I went to Chile and Bolivia. And when I'm immersed in Spanish, I totally know it and I totally got it. When I'm away from it, I just get nervous and I like just get all clammed up and I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. And I freak out. But I know a lot more than I give myself credit for. And so I just need to sack up and do it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
practice. But yeah, sorry to go back to your question. Traveling is probably the best thing ever. And I think learning new languages, meeting cool people, seeing all the cool things that this world has to offer outside of my own home, I was like, I have to see it all. Like, I have to see it all. And I'm very, like, task-oriented and list-driven. So I'm... Yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, I'll have to make a list. And so then I made the list. I'm currently 28. I wanted to... From this point forward, I was like, I want to visit every continent. So, been to Europe, been to Australia, been to South America, here. So, which is North America, if you don't know your geography.
North America and United States is different because America's more in the south. United States is in the north.
You dumb. So now I just have Asia, Africa, and Antarctica left. I plan, hopefully, you know, if the pandemic calms down enough, hopefully to go to Africa this winter and then Asia next summer. And then I'll be 30 in 2022 and I want to go to Antarctica. Hopefully, like, I don't know. I figure a cruise would make the most sense and be the most cost efficient to just like cruise on
Probably
down
the most
there.
safe too.
Yeah. And then
who
go
knows
back.
if you can come back once you're there.
Honestly, at this
I don't
point,
know.
I love traveling, and I'm so down that if I get stuck somewhere, I'm like, hell yeah.
But you
I'm
really
down.
want to get stuck in Antarctica.
Why not? Why not?
It's
'Cause
cold.
It gets below
I like the cold.
like negative
I'm
a
okay
trillion
with
over
that.
there.
I mean, sure, negative a trillion, that would suck. But if I had the proper clothes and a good couple books and some people, I'm down.
Sure.
I am down like 4 flat tires. You know?
I know one of my friends lives in Alaska, and he says that there was been a couple of times where it was literally, I think, like negative 70 or 80 out there. He said that you could not show a single piece of skin, or else like it would very, very quickly just frostbite, almost immediately, which is
crazy.
insane to me.
Whoa.
That level of cold.
I
Ugh.
want to experience it though. Like those kinds of things don't terrify me, and rather I'm like, yes,
That's fair.
prepare
That's
me
fair.
and send me. I'm down.
Yeah, I mean, if that was honestly how the weather was, you can pretty much bet on me like opening the door and sticking my hand out the window. I would definitely want to feel that.
I don't think I'd be that dumb,
Yeah.
but
I just want to feel it just for like 2 seconds and you know, like,
No.
I just want to.
because with
feel the air.
frostbite, you could lose limbs.
True.
Forever.
And just open it. Hand outside, close. Boom. Now
And
you know,
then
now you know
there-
how it feels.
There goes your hand. Oh, he gone.
We'll be all right.
You know,
He gone.
at least take a pinky out, you know?
Yeah.
You can live without pinky.
I can live without the tips of my fingers. I'm cool.
All of them? All 5? No, that'd be terrible. Definitely.
I'm just
not.
saying. I just think that like super hot days or super cold nights, the weather, so to speak, I really love to experience it all.
Mhm.
Like in Australia, there was a heat wave happening for 2 days, and none of the houses have insulation out there. None of them,
What?
except for the big industrial buildings, of course.
Do they have like AC at least, or was it just like
Yeah,
you deal with it?
they had AC, but everyone who lived in my house and everyone in college was broke. And so, you know, they'd be like, "Ooh, don't run the AC because I don't want to pay for it." And so I was like, whatever. But all, you know, you'd sit inside drinking cold water and just be sweating.
That's disgusting.
It's awful.
That's one thing. I can't handle heat. So, like, been to Texas a couple times, and I'm like, cool. Been to San Antonio, I'm good forever. Like,
fair.
I don't, it's so hot. Or, you know, been to New Orleans, Nolans, and I'm like, that's cool. It's like really dirty and like muggy, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I can't vibe with it,
Nah,
man.
fam jam.
I don't like it.
Although I did go to Spain when it was summer, so like June and July, and it was hot, but like, I don't know, it's a different type of hot. Like, I mean, you could drink sangria all day and like be by the beach, and that I could do, you know. It's
Yeah.
different, the circumstances.
Well, it's like, you know, if you're in a heat wave, being at home versus at the beach. At the beach any day,
Yeah.
100%.
And it's been hot here. I mean, like, even in Greeley, it's been hot, like highs in the 90s. But if I'm at the lake, I'm down. Like, so great, because I got my paddleboard and my kayak, and it's wonderful out on the lake. But at the house, or like having to be outside, not in the water, it's hot and miserable.
So true, man.
Yeah.
I that's why, you know, I don't want to leave here because the winter's just too good. But yeah. So I guess when it comes to travel, like actually physically getting up, packing your bags, and going on plane rides, how did you take the long, what was it, 12, 13-hour plane ride from LA to Australia? How was that for you?
Super good. I think the best thing, because so many people are like, oh my god, that's such a long plane ride, oh, that sucks, like, what are you gonna do? But if you just go in with low expectations or no expectations, you're gonna have a great time. And I did. I just was like, cool, I got a book, I got Netflix, I'm gonna sleep. It was great. It was super great.
I just know for every plane I've ridden on, like my knees are touching the seat in front of me because I'm so tall. Unless I get like the front area, which not like I paid more for the seat or anything
Yeah.
like
The
Right.
first row of the economy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then I'm like, this is great, 10 out of 10. But that's only happened like once, and so
True.
I'm always just like squeezed in. I'm a taller guy,
Yeah.
6'2", so it sucks.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I have that on my side. I'm only 5'3", so I can fit anywhere.
You're
But
5'3"?
yeah, I'm
I
5'3".
did not know that.
I know. How tall are you?
I think like 5'10" or 11.
Jeez,
I
you're
r-
real
I-
tall.
I really want to be 6 foot though.
Dang.
Man, I've
You could just lie.
Wear
Just
some
lie to
heels.
everybody.
you can't.
Hey, everybody, Devin's 6 foot.
I mean,
Damn, look
my,
at that. You're 6 foot.
whoa.
Whoa.
My like girl profile just busts open.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh my god, he's 6 foot.
oh my gosh. Then they meet me and they're like, "You short."
Nah.
I'm like,
well, actually,
"Mhm."
there are such girls that are shallow like that.
Nah.
But
That's a
whatevs.
different story.
Yeah. No, but I'm 5'3". I've got a tall personality, so everybody that I say that I'm 5'3", they're like, "What? No way!" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're just really tall
You're
in
like, "Yeah,
personality.
but I'm cool though.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably cooler
Like
than you.
my coolness makes up for the lack in inches, you know. But
Fair.
anyways, that sounded gross. Anyways, but no, yeah. So actually, what's funny is, you know, that was my first international flight going to Australia, and it is like 14 some hours. And lucky Aubrey and I, we got the first like row of seats in economy where there was like more room. So we are like super blessed. #blessed. But it was so good and like so easy, and I slept, and you have to just like deal with the fact that it's uncomfortable and
Yeah.
just make the best with what you got. And it worked out, you know, and I'd wake up, eat, sleep, wake up, eat, sleep, and watch movies, and it was great. And you know, I think being in the moment, like enjoying, I mean, you could sit there and be miserable about like, I'm on a forever flight and when is this flight gonna end? But you could enjoy the fact that you're on your way to a totally different country and then be pumped about it and, yay. I mean, coming back is always the worst.
Sure.
But you just sleep. Just sleep, be like super tired when you get to the airport, and then you just sleep the whole time. That is my remedy to solving most of my life problems. Just sleep through it all.
Well, the only reason I ask is because I had a certain method and a certain routine, I should say, about going on these flights. So
Isn't yours drinking?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, different person is what I meant.
Yeah.
E.T.,
I mean,
you're the alcoholic,
I'm
right?
just saying.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like, I always get premium economy, so my seat's always bigger and I always have more legroom.
No,
Always.
I don't want to pay for that. I would much rather suffer and be cramped than pay more money.
I'd rather pay more money.
No.
It's
and
like an extra $100.
Neither is wrong.
That's it.
But I would rather spend the extra money on fun things to do when I'm there rather than my flight over.
That's fair.
But I knew a guy who was like, absolutely not. I can't be uncomfortable for 5 minutes. And he had to pay, not Devin, some other dude. And that he
That's me.
adamantly had to have paid to upgrade. And I was like, if you're paying, sure, I'll benefit. But I'm not paying for that because I'm okay being cramped and uncomfortable for X amount of hours if it means I get to go abroad and do more fun things.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Oh, I mean, my flight to Australia was like, I'm moving there.
True.
So I don't know what to expect. But anyways, so I'll fall asleep for a couple hours. If I can manage to get 4 hours in, that's a win for me, because it's just so ungodly uncomfortable. I think so. But, 4 hours of sleep, it's not bad. Usually I go on my computer or watch a bunch of movies and stuff. But what I'll do, the game changer here is bring an extra set of clothes and like wear your street clothes, your pants, your shoes, whatever. But then change into a real baggy shirt and some sweatpants. And then go in the bathroom, wipe your face and then brush your teeth.
Dude, yeah, brushing your
Game
teeth
changer.
in the middle or after a flight makes a world of difference.
So
You are
true.
right. You are right. Yeah, I started doing that too, carrying my toothbrush and minimum extra underwear, because changing your underwear is wow, I'm a new woman. It's good.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, plus you get to go in the bathroom and air out, so to speak.
True.
Have you ever had any just really crappy things happen to you on a flight, like a kid crying? Because I once had a 4-hour flight. Kid was screaming the entire way.
Ugh, that's
The
horrible.
whole way there. It was
That's
awful.
my fear of having kids, that they're just gonna be terrible, and I have to live with them. You know what I mean? But
Every parent's nightmare.
right. But not really. I've been super lucky, or not a whole lot gets to me, so I don't really think of it as terrible stuff. Although it's the worst when I'm dead ass tired and I get on the flight and I sit down and I'm yes, I can't wait to sleep through this flight, and then I got a chatty Kathy who's oh my god, what's your name, where are you going, tell me your family history. Oh my god, let me tell you my family history. And I'm cool. Ooh,
I always throw
that's
my
awesome.
headphones on before anyone starts talking to me, or earbuds in,
You'd think
Yeah.
that would send the signal, but it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Well, and here's the
really
thing
doesn't.
too, is the few times that I have talked to people, they've been wonderful people.
Yeah.
So then I also experience FOMO, where I'm if she wants to talk to me and I put my headphones in, what if I'm missing out on a really great opportunity to find somebody really cool? This one woman I met on a flight. It was probably only a 2-hour flight, but she was rad. She was an anthropology teacher, had connections all over the place, and was oh my gosh, you can totally come visit me anytime, and I'd love to hang out with you. And I was oh my god, I just
That's
made a
pretty cool, actually.
friend right here. And I had at the beginning of our conversation, I was oh, I just want to sleep through this flight or just read my book. But I was no, I won't do that. I'll give it a chance, and I was so glad I did, because I was wow, you are an interesting human. And then she just had story after story of cool things that she's done with her life, and I was just whoa. Whoa. And to think I could have missed out on that opportunity had I just stuck my headphones in or fallen asleep or whatever.
Sure.
So now I'm forever FOMO.
Where was she from?
Chicago, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I want to go to Chicago. That'd be sick. Like, I'll go to Chicago and come stay with you. And she was like, hell yeah. And I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So what about people from the people that you've met in these different countries?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had any interesting conversations like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, being a single lady, I've met men abroad. But that's been super fun. You never know who you're going to meet. And then when you do meet somebody, they show you around the city because they're local and I'm not. And so that's been super fun. None of them I've like super like stayed in contact with, except for another plug for an amazing company called Kentucky Travel. That was last summer. I wanted to go to South America. It was on my list, right, of continents that I needed to go to. And so I thought, sure, I want to go to Chile because they speak Spanish, and other than that, I don't care what else, you know. But I couldn't find anybody to go with me to save my life, and so I was like, but I don't really want to, like, solo travel. And, like, shout out to all the women who solo travel, like, amazing. But I don't have the guts to do it. So I didn't want to go by myself, couldn't find anybody that I knew and was comfortable enough to travel with. And so then I looked up companies that I could like join a group maybe, but not one that was like super touristy, because there are trips where you like sit in a bus the whole time and then you like look like those tourists, you know. And I was like, I've done it before and like it's somewhat necessary. Like I did that in New York and sure, that's fine, but like I wanted to go and authentically travel but with other people. And so then I like did a bunch of research, found Kentucky. I need water because my voice probably sounds gross. Yeah, gross.
Just had to do that, huh?
Mm-hmm. Needed to like make it obvious so that you all knew. But anyways, so found Kentucky, which is this travel company where it's for like 20s to 30s age group, where you join a group of people, like-minded, ideally, and you just do their itinerary, and it was great. So I did Chile and Bolivia, and I think the trip was called Bella Bolivia, and so it was focused mostly on Bolivia, but then they did like 3 cities in Chile as well, and it was amazing. It was exactly what I wanted because it was a schedule, an itinerary all built for me and did really cool things, outdoorsy. You weren't sitting on a bus the whole time. And it was with people that were around my age. And so I made tons of friends from there, you know, like 3 Australian people, 2 British people, 2 New Zealanders, and 2 people from the Philippines. And I like still am in contact with all of them. And hopefully we do like a little reunion where we go here or somewhere else. I don't care. Or I'll see them individually, you know, whatevs. But that was an absolutely amazing experience. And so at this point, I've done like study abroad, group travel, just me and a friend travel, where we did like an at-home thing, and that was in Australia. Same friend and I went to London, where we just did it on our own, where we booked an Airbnb and kind of saw around. And yeah, so I've done quite a bit of travel, and I definitely want to do more of the group travel with Kentucky or any other company. I especially love Kentucky. Shout out to Kentucky. But yeah, so I forgot your question. So thanks.
It's all good. I was going to ask we're almost out of time here, but did Kentucky or whatever, these people, did they ever have to tell you anything that was culturally inappropriate?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. One thing, and I had flown into Bolivia probably a day before my trip started with Kentucky, and I stayed in the hotel, went to the bathroom, you know, as normal for America, and then I met my Kentucky like tour guide, and he was like, hey, heads up for Bolivia and some of Chile, do not put toilet paper in the toilet. Like, you just don't flush toilet paper like you do here. And I was like, what? Oh no, I already flushed some toilet paper.
No.
And so
Gotta break
So
the
I was like,
pipes.
oh no. But yeah, and that's probably one of the biggest things that's been different that I've experienced different culturally than here is you don't flush your toilet paper. So like
Right.
if you poop, you smell it because it's in the trash can, and you don't like, I mean, not the poop, but like you wiping
Yeah.
that all that toilet paper is in the trash can. And so that's pretty gnarly. And it is culturally inappropriate to put it in the toilet. So
Mhm.
that's probably the biggest thing. But otherwise, yeah, I think that's about it.
Any hand gestures at all? Because I know when we went to Honduras, as Americans, we'll say, "Hey, come here," and we'll, put our palm facing the sky and then like wave our fingers and like, come here.
Mhm.
But over there, if you do that, it means you're calling them a dog. So you have to like point your hands to the south, and like, "Hey, come here."
Oh, weird.
And you also couldn't flush down toilet paper either.
That's so strange.
But also like rock on here in the States, like, the put your horns up, that kind of thing. That was like gang members over there.
Huh.
Like that's what they did.
That's wild. Rock on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just culture, man. It's really weird.
I don't think there was a whole lot. I know in Australia, like, you can't be as sensitive. So, like, Australians joke about everything.
Bruh, everything.
Everything. Like, I remember my friend Aubrey and I, Aubrey will remember this. Aubrey and I were surfing, and these dudes, just outside of Wollongong, we were learning to surf, and these
Beautiful
dudes,
place, by the way.
yeah, these dudes were teaching us, and Aubrey and I think we paddled too far out. And I remember the Australians were like, "Look, the Americans are trying to go home." I was like, oh my gosh. And they just, anytime I fell or like just couldn't get the strokes or couldn't stand up or whatever, they just like constantly made jokes. And I was like, all right, I see you. And at first I was like slightly offended. I was like, bro, like, why are you being a jerk? But then the host family that we were staying with, they were like, no, that means they're like friendly with you and like they like you. And I was like, oh, weird.
The Aussie banter I found is very quick-witted.
Oh, it's
And
incredible.
To the average American listener, I would say, and no offense, but it's harsh. It can sound harsh, but
Yeah.
you just can't be offended by anything because they just joke about everything over there.
Oh, and you know
Which
what
is
though?
hilarious.
Their accents are so cool. So I'm just like, whatever. I don't care what you say. I
What-
love it.
What was your favorite accent of all the places you've been?
Oh, honestly, my friends Nicole and Ben, who are from New Zealand, the Kiwi accents, one of my favorites. We played.
I don't like it at all.
I love it so much. Thanks to Nicole and Ben. But we played this game when we were in Bolivia and Chile. I don't remember what it was called, but I think James taught us, and it was like. So essentially the game is everybody has a piece of the deck. Like we split the deck evenly among everybody, right? The deck is in your hand, or your portion of the deck is in your hand face down. And let's say I started, and right now it's me, Devin, ET in a circle, right? And so I put a card down face up and I say ace. Okay, I don't know what the card is, but if what I say matches the card that is face up, then we slap. So we go around in a circle. Devin would put down a card and say 2. ET would say 3, 4, 5, 6, and blah, blah, all the way.
That's a fun game.
Super fun. And so if the card that we say matches what's actually like there, we slap. Or if there's doubles, we slap. Okay?
Sure.
And so I'm playing this game. I'm the only American on this trip. Okay? Only American. The rest are Aussies, Kiwis, Brits, and a couple people from the Philippines, okay? So all of their accents, like to me, they sound really similar. So when I'm playing the game with them, my voice actually distracts me from the game because it doesn't sound like theirs, So I would just get into it and play and sound like them. I'd mimic their accents, And my favorite was the Kiwi accent when it was 6 or 10 because, it'd be like, with Australians it's great and all, but with Kiwis it's 6 teen. And it's awesome.
No, like you ain't lying. Like I don't mean to interrupt, but I visited New Zealand myself and went skiing, just for holiday. And Devin, that's my name, okay? And I'd go and sign my form, whatever, and I have to rent gear every single day. Literally every day they'd be like, Devin? Is that you? Devin?
Devin? That's my friend
And I'm
Ben.
like, yep, that's me.
My friend Ben, he'd say, hey, my name's Bean. And people would be like, Ben? And he'd be like, no, it's Benjamin. I'm sorry, Ben, if you hear this. I love it so much. You've got a great accent, but it's a fun one.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like we're about out of time. We're at the 45-minute mark.
No way.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I could just keep talking.
Let's just do it. Screw the listeners. I'm just kidding.
I mean, if you are listening, Elijah here listens to like double speed, so he can listen like 3 hours, no problem.
Oh, dang.
But I guess thanks for joining the podcast. If you've been listening this whole time, like you made it, congrats on episode 2 of the show where we talk about nothing interesting and nobody listens. With my
Surf
sister.
and turf.
You got any closing remarks at all?
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really feel like a celebrity. I'm gonna promote this to the students at my school. Be like, hey, I am cool. This is evidence. Somebody wanted to hear about my life. So screw all you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out to my students and shout out to Dev and ET for Surf and Turf, making normal average people like me feel so cool.